Do you even know where you're standing, old man? Sloane didn't look up. Her lips were painted the color of a bruised plum. Deep. Dark. She didn't touch the check. She used a gold-plated pencil to slide it away. A slow, deliberate motion. This is Ironclad Sovereign. We only handle transactions starting at $5,000. These trifles, you should take them to the post office or the trash can across the street. Enoch Thorne didn't blink. His eyes were deep, still, like the bottom of an ancient stone well. He stood in the center of the lobby. He smelled of charcoal and cold Wyoming wind. The check is real, Enoch said. His voice was a low hum. Steady. The man who signed it is an honest man. I only need the money for coal. For the forge. A laugh came from behind the glass. Cold. Mocking. Killian Drake stepped out. He was the branch CEO. He wore a three-piece suit, charcoal gray. His Patek Philippe watch caught the light. It glinted. A tiny, expensive sun. Coal? People still use forges in the 21st century? Killian walked closer. His cologne was heavy. Musk and ego. It fought the scent of smoke on Enoch's coat. Listen, Enoch. You are a relic. This bank is not a museum. Your account has a balance of $2.40. You are wasting thousands of dollars of our oxygen just by standing here. Security, escort the gentleman out. Make sure he doesn't leave any soot on the floor. The staff laughed. A synchronized hollow sound. Killian smiled. It was a sharp, predatory expression. Enoch didn't argue. He didn't raise his hands. He adjusted his Stetson. He turned on his heel. His boots were old. Leather cracked by winter. They made a heavy, rhythmic sound on the white marble. Thud, thud, thud. He walked out of the glass doors. He didn't look back. Wolf Creek was changing. The mountains were the same. The Grand Tetons still pierced the sky. But the valley was being filled with glass. New money. Killian Drake was the face of that money. He wanted to buy Enoch's ranch. He wanted to turn the forge into a spa. Enoch had said no. For 3 years, he had said no. Today, Killian thought he had won. He thought he had humiliated the old man into submission. He was wrong. Enoch climbed into his truck, a midnight into 7 to Ford. It was rusted. The engine was a choir of iron and oil. He drove 5 miles out of town, away from the glass, away from the plum-colored lips. He arrived at his forge. It was made of timber and stone. It had stood for 94 years. Inside, the air was warm. It smelled of sulfur and history. Enoch sat on a wooden bench. He looked at the crumpled $50 check. You want to play the hard way, Killian? Enoch whispered to the empty room. He stood up. He walked to the center of the forge, to the anvil. It weighed 200 pounds, solid steel. He knelt. His knees popped, a dry, mechanical sound. He used a crowbar. He pried up a single stone beneath the anvil's base. Under the stone was a box, brass, tarnished by decades of shadows. He pulled it out. He didn't rush. A Stoic has no use for haste. He opened the lid. There was no gold inside, no jewelry, only a single piece of paper, a 1930 gold certificate. Face value, $10,000. It was issued by the Wyoming Trust Bank, a bank that Ironclad Sovereign had swallowed in the 90s, a bank whose debts they had legally inherited. The certificate carried a gold clause, a rare ancient legal ghost. It didn't promise $10,000 in paper. It promised gold, physical gold. 483 ounces of it, secured by the undivided Tier 1 assets of the issuing institution. Enoch pulled out a clean velvet cloth. He wiped the dust from the red wax seal. The seal showed a wolf and a sword, the old mark of the Thorne family, the original mark of the valley. He didn't need $50. He was holding a financial execution order. He didn't celebrate. He went to the sink. He washed his hands. He used lye soap. He scrubbed the soot from his knuckles. He scrubbed until the skin was raw, red. He went to his closet. He pulled out a suit. It was black, wool. It smelled of cedar. He ironed it. The steam rose in the quiet house. He didn't call the bank. He didn't call the police. He drove to a small brick building at the end of Main Street. Thaddeus Blackwood was 85. He sat behind a desk piled with folders. He was the last man in Wolf Creek who used a typewriter. He was a relic. Just like Enoch. Enoch placed the gold certificate on the desk. The room went silent. The only sound was the ticking of a grandfather clock. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Thaddeus reached for his glasses. His hands shook. Just a little. He peered at the paper. He touched the wax seal. He stayed silent for 60 seconds. A long, heavy minute. Enoch, Thaddeus whispered. I have heard rumors of this paper since I was a clerk. Do you know what you are holding? I know the value, Enoch said. I want to know if it can burn Killian Drake's office to the ground. Thaddeus looked up. He smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. It was the smile of a predator that had finally found its teeth. Burn it? Enoch, if we trigger this clause, we won't just burn his office. We will trigger a liquidity crisis for every branch ISB owns in the West. Under Wyoming contract law, they cannot pay you in paper if you demand physical bullion for a pre-1933 contract reaffirmed in 1977. Thaddeus stood up. He straightened his bow tie. Get your truck ready, Enoch. And wear your best hat. Tomorrow we go and take our town back. The sun rose over Wolf Creek. Cold. Red. A thin layer of frost clung to the dead grass. Enoch Thorne stood in his kitchen. He drank his coffee black. No sugar, no cream. He watched the steam rise. He put on his suit, black wool, heavy. It had the scent of cedar and old time. He adjusted his tie. A simple knot, precise. He looked at his hands. They were clean. The soot was gone. But the scars remained, deep white lines across his knuckles. A map of 50 years at the forge. He picked up his Stetson. He didn't look in the mirror. He knew who he was. He drove into town. The Ford's engine hummed, a steady mechanical heart. He parked in front of the brick building. Thaddeus was waiting. The lawyer wore a gray suit. It was older than the bank. He held a leather briefcase. It was cracked, worn. Ready? Thaddeus asked. Enoch nodded once. He didn't speak. Silence was his weapon. They walked toward Ironclad Sovereign. The building was a cage of glass. Sterile. Arrogant. It didn't belong in the mountains. It looked like a diamond dropped in a bucket of coal. Inside, the air was filtered. It had no scent, no soul. Sloane was at the counter. Her lips were still the color of a bruised plum. She saw Enoch. She sighed. A sharp, bored sound. I told you yesterday, old man, she said. She didn't look at his suit. She didn't notice the change in the air. We don't process manual checks for... Thaddeus stepped forward. He placed his briefcase on the marble. I am Thaddeus Blackwood, he said. His voice was like dry parchment. I am here to represent Mr. Enoch Thorne in a Tier 1 debt reclamation. Under the 1930 Sovereign Trust Charter, we require a meeting with Mr. Killian Drake. Immediately. Sloane blinked. Her long eyelashes fluttered. Mr. Drake is in a meeting with investors. He can't be disturbed. Tell him the Thorne family has arrived to collect their interest, Enoch said. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried. It cut through the hum of the air conditioner. It stopped the fingers of the other tellers. The lobby went quiet, a heavy, expectant silence. Killian Drake stepped out of the glass elevator. He was laughing. He was talking to a man in a navy suit. They were discussing dividends, percentages, the math of greed. He saw Enoch. He saw Thaddeus. His laughter died. It didn't fade. It just stopped. You again? Killian walked over. His shoes clicked on the floor. A fast, nervous rhythm. I thought security made it clear. This isn't a homeless shelter, Enoch. And Thaddeus? You should be in a nursing home, not bothering my staff. We aren't here to bother them, Thaddeus said. He opened the briefcase. He moved slowly, deliberately. He pulled out the gold certificate. He laid it on the counter. We are here to redeem this. $10,000. 1930 issue, Series B. Killian didn't look at the paper. He looked at Enoch. That's a museum piece. It's worthless. The gold standard ended decades ago. It's paper, junk. Read the clause, Killian, Enoch said. Killian leaned in. He sneered. He read the fine print. This certificate is a direct obligation of the Wyoming Trust Bank, payable to the bearer on demand in gold coin at the standard of value existing at the time of issue, secured by the undivided physical reserves of the issuing institution. Killian's eyes moved, left to right to left. He read it again. So? Killian looked up. A bead of sweat formed at his hairline. ISB bought Wyoming Trust. That doesn't mean we have to give you gold. We can give you $10,000 in credit, plus a little interest. Say $12,000. Now take it and leave. The market value of 483 ounces of gold is $1.1 million, Thaddeus said. The compounded interest over 94 years, at the rate specified in the charter, brings the total to $3.7 million. Payable in bullion, physical bullion. Not credit, not paper. This is a joke, Killian said. He looked around. He looked at the investors. They were watching. Their faces were confused. Security! Get these two out of here! Two men in black uniforms moved forward. They were large, young. They didn't have scars on their knuckles. "Wait," Thaddeus said. He pulled out another document, a blue folder, with a state seal. "This is a temporary restraining order from the state attorney's office. It prohibits the movement of any physical assets from this branch until the Thorne claim is settled. If you touch us, you are obstructing a federal audit." The security guards stopped. They looked at Killian. Killian's face went from pale to red, a deep, angry flush. "You think you can bankrupt a multi-billion-dollar corporation with a piece of paper from the Depression?" "I don't care about your corporation," Enoch said. He took a step forward. He was taller than Killian. He smelled of cold air and iron. "I care about the forge. I care about the land you tried to steal with your liquidity threats. You wanted to play the hard way. This is the hard way." Killian's hand shook. He reached for his phone. He dialed a number. His fingers fumbled. "Get me the regional office," he whispered. "No, get me New York, now. Silence is power. Enoch Thorne knows this." He stood his ground while the world tried to push him aside. Are you standing your ground? If you want to see the moment the glass cage shatters, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. We honor the workers. We honor the Stoics. Now let's watch Killian Drake's world crumble. Killian stayed on the phone for 10 minutes. He stood by the window. He looked out at the street. He didn't look at Enoch. He couldn't. Enoch stood still. He didn't sit. He didn't lean. He was a statue of wool and bone. Thaddeus checked his pocket watch. Snap. The sound was like a gunshot in the quiet lobby. 5 minutes, Killian, Thaddeus said. Then I call the sheriff. We begin the physical inventory of the vault. Killian turned around. He looked like he had aged 10 years. His expensive suit looked too big for him. His eyes were wide. Panic is a scent. Enoch could smell it. It was sour, sharp. They say the certificate is valid, Killian whispered. The tellers stopped breathing. Sloane's jaw dropped. The gold pencil fell from her hand. It hit the floor. Clink. But we don't have that much gold, Killian continued. His voice was cracking. No branch does. We have cash. We have digital reserves. But bullion? We have maybe 50 ounces for display and private vault services. Then you are in default, Thaddeus said. Under Wyoming law, a default on a gold clause contract allows the bearer to seize physical property of the institution to satisfy the debt. We will take the land, the 2,000 acres your bank acquired in the North Valley, and we will take the title to this building. You can't do that, Killian gasped. That's our entire development project. The resort. The investors. The man in the navy suit stepped forward. He looked at Killian. He looked at Enoch. Is this true? The investor asked. Is the bank's title to the valley land encumbered by a 1930 debt? It's a technicality, Killian said. It's a $3.7 million technicality, Thaddeus corrected. And it has seniority over your investment. Mr. Thorne's claim was filed in 1930. Your project was filed last year. First in time, first in right. The investor turned to his partners. Withdraw the funding, now. This branch is a legal minefield. No, wait! Killian reached out. His hand brushed the investor's arm. The man pulled away, as if Killian were a leper. The lobby began to move. People were whispering. Someone pulled out a phone. They were recording. The relic was winning. The man with the scars was crushing the man with the MBA. Killian fell back against the counter. He looked at Sloane. She didn't look back. She was looking at her computer screen. She was looking for a new job. What do you want, Enoch? Killian asked. His voice was a whimper. Just tell me what you want to make this go away. Enoch stepped closer. He didn't shout. He didn't lean in. He stayed in Killian's space. I want the land back, Enoch said. All of it. The valley, the forest, the river access. You return the deeds to the original families. You cancel the foreclosures on the 3 ranches in the south. And you leave Wolf Creek. I can't just do that. I'm just the CEO of this branch. Then call the man who can, Enoch said. Because if I walk out that door without a signature, the next person walking in is a federal marshal with a lock and a chain. Killian looked at the gold certificate. It sat on the marble. It looked beautiful. It looked ancient. It looked like a death warrant. He picked up the phone. His hand was trembling. He spoke for a long time. He nodded. He closed his eyes. They agree, Killian said. He sounded hollow, like an empty barrel. They'll sign the transfer. Anything to keep the audit from going national. Thaddeus pulled a new document from his briefcase. He had it ready. He had known the answer before the question was asked. "Sign here," Thaddeus said. "And here." "And here." Killian signed. The ink was black. It looked like blood on the white paper. When he was finished, Enoch picked up the gold certificate. He didn't leave it. It was his history, his father's legacy. He looked at Killian one last time. "You said I was wasting your oxygen," Enoch said. "I think you'll find the air is much thinner where you're going." Enoch turned and walked out. Thaddeus followed. They stepped out into the Wyoming sun. It was bright. The air was crisp. It smelled of pine and freedom. "What now, Enoch?" Thaddeus asked. "Now?" Enoch looked at his hands. "The coal is waiting. I have work to do." He drove back to the forge. He didn't celebrate. He didn't go to the bar. He went to the anvil. He lit the fire. The bellows roared. The flames rose, blue and orange. He took a piece of raw steel. He heated it until it was white, until it glowed like the sun. He swung the hammer. Clang! The sound echoed through the valley. It was a clean sound, a solid sound. It was the sound of a man who owned his life. Killian Drake was gone by sunset. The bank was sold to a local credit union a month later. Sloane was seen working at a diner in the next county. She didn't wear plum-colored lipstick anymore. The valley stayed green. The river stayed clear. The resort was never built. Enoch Thorne stayed at his forge. He lived another 10 years. He never cashed the certificate for himself. He kept it in the brass box, under the anvil, because he knew a secret. Wealth isn't what you have in the bank. It isn't the suit you wear or the watch on your wrist. Wealth is the ability to walk into a room of glass and steel, look a man in the eye, and know that you owe him nothing. Wealth is silence. Wealth is the hammer. Wealth is the truth. Wolf Creek remembers. They remember the day the old man brought the fire. They remember the day the paper became gold. And they remember to never, ever underestimate a man with soot on his coat and a debt in his pocket. The fire in the forge never went out. Neither did the story. You're still here. That means the fire in the forge resonates with you. The world is full of Killian Drakes. Men who believe a suit makes them powerful. Men who think a digital number is a substitute for character. They are wrong. They always have been. If you believe in the power of an honest day's work, the weight of a promise, and the strength found in silence, then you belong here. Subscribe to this channel. It's a simple click, but it's a vote for the values that built the world. It keeps these stories alive for the men who still know how to swing a hammer. Like this video, if you enjoyed seeing the glass cage shatter, it helps us reach more people who need to hear that they don't have to back down. And leave a comment below. We want to hear from the workers, the builders, the Stoics. Have you ever stood your ground against a giant? Tell us your story. We read them all. The Grand Tetons don't move for the wind. Neither should you. Stay sharp, stay quiet, stay dangerous.